The sun stood high above the reclaimed city, bathing its scarred walls and rain-washed streets in a warm, forgiving light that felt almost sacred after so many days of smoke, fire, and storm. The mist had burned away completely, revealing the plains in their raw, honest truth, a vast field still littered with the silent remnants of war, broken lances half buried in the mud, tattered banners fluttering weakly in the gentle breeze, and the distant ridge now empty save for the scattered ashes of the horde's final camp. The air carried the clean scent of wet earth and new beginnings, mixed with the faint, lingering trace of smoke that served as a solemn reminder of the price paid. Orhan Sahib walked slowly through the grand square, his captains arrayed around him like the pillars of a newly forged realm. The people parted before them with reverence, some reaching out to touch the hem of his cloak, others simply bowing their heads in silent gratitude. Children ran alongside, offering small gifts, a polished stone, a handful of wildflowers, a crust of bread saved from the morning ration. Warriors who had fought beside him through the forest ambushes and the palace flames now stood at attention, their eyes shining with a mixture of exhaustion and quiet pride. Lord Varak's eastern riders had dismounted and mingled among them, sharing bread and water as true brothers rather than strangers. In the center of the square, a great fire had been kindled, not the destructive blaze of siege and raid, but a sacred hearth where the fallen banners of the horde were laid to rest and prayers of thanksgiving rose like incense. Orhan Sahib stopped before it, his hand resting upon the hilt of his blade, and turned to face the gathered thousands. His voice, when it rose, carried the deep, rhythmic cadence of history itself, speaking through a man who had become its instrument. By the infinite mercy of the Almighty, who brings light after the longest night and peace after the fiercest storm, the long war has reached its end. The wolves that once darkened these plains with their numbers and their rage have scattered like shadows before the rising sun. Their chieftains have fallen, Yakid in the forest ashes, Shahanshah upon the steps of his own throne, and every warlord who rose after them beneath our blades in fire, smoke, rain, and steel. The horde that numbered 10,000 strong is no more. What remains has either knelt in surrender or fled into the distant steppes, never to threaten these lands again. He paused, letting the weight of those words settle over the square like a benediction. The only sounds were the crackle of the sacred fire and the soft murmur of prayers rising from every corner. We have walked through every trial the darkness could summon against us. Ambush in the ancient forest where arrows whispered death from every tree and root. Flames that consumed both palace and trader alike, turning the night into a furnace of judgment. Sieges that ground stone and soul beneath their relentless weight. Personal duels in which steel weighed the souls of the faithless. Faladios ending Yakid's treachery with righteous fire. My own blade ending Shahanshah's tyranny upon his stolen throne. Storms of betrayal from within our own ranks and from without, wavering garrisons, poisoned daggers in the dark, and hordes that sought to drown us in numbers and despair. Through forest and flame, through mud and rain, through smoke and steel, honor did not bend. Faith did not waver. The Almighty saw our oaths and granted us endurance beyond measure. Orhan Sahib turned first to his closest companions, his voice softening with the profound bond forged in shared blood and shared suffering. Orhan, my right hand, my living shield, who stood between me and death so many times that your body bears the scars of loyalty deeper than any blood tie. Faladios, my storm of justice, whose blade carved through rivalries and tyrants alike with unquenchable fire. Mahmud and Abdul Rahman, whose spears held the western wall when the world itself seemed determined to break it. Damir Khan, whose arrows darkened the sky and thinned the tide when numbers threatened to overwhelm us. Tamir Boga and Mustafa, whose river raids struck like lightning even in the heaviest deluge. Altuddin Sahib, Zarkan, Kuled's Kilal, Al-Aliaddin Sahib, and Jarkata Sahib, whose vigilance guarded the heart of the city while chaos raged outside. And every soul who stood with us, the turned riders who redeemed themselves in blood, the citizens who carried stones and arrows when strength failed, the wounded who refused to leave the walls, the children who prayed through the longest nights. You are the reason this city still stands. You are the reason justice has triumphed. A deep, heartfelt cheer rose from the square, not the savage roar of battle, but the profound, grateful sound of a people who had stared into the abyss and chosen light. Tears flowed freely. Hands reached out in brotherhood. Eastern riders and local warriors embraced as equals. Orhan Sahib continued, his voice gaining a quiet warmth that still carried the solemn rhythm of destiny fulfilled. Today we begin the greater work that true victory demands. The walls will be rebuilt stronger than before, their stones set with the memory of those who defended them. The granaries will be filled and shared equally among all. The wounded will be tended with mercy and care. The fallen will be buried with full honor beneath the crescent that flew through every storm. Lord Varak and his eastern brothers are welcome not as strangers, but as true allies. Their grain will feed the hungry, their steel will stand beside ours should new shadows ever rise from distant lands. But we will remain vigilant. The world beyond these plains still turns. New powers may yet test us, old wounds may yet try to fester, yet we have proven upon these blood-soaked fields that when faith and honor stand together, no horde, no tyrant, no storm of betrayal can prevail." He stepped forward, raising both hands toward the sun now fully risen above the city. "Let this day be remembered not merely as the end of war, but as the birth of a realm built upon justice, mercy, and unbreaking faith. Let every heart know peace this day. Let every prayer rise in thanksgiving. Let every soul who fought, from the lowliest spearmen to the captains who stood at my side through the darkest hours, be honored as the guardians of this new dawn. The forest has been crossed, the palace has been cleansed, the siege has been broken, the storm has passed. Now we build what was nearly lost, stronger, wiser, and ever mindful that darkness may one day return, but when it does, it will find us ready as we have always been." The cheer that followed rolled across the square like a wave of light, spreading through the streets and out toward the cleansed plains. Warriors lowered their heads in prayer. Families reunited with tears and laughter. Eastern riders shared their supplies openly, breaking bread with the defenders who had once faced them as potential enemies. As the sun climbed toward its zenith, Orhan Sahib walked among his people with his captains at his side. He stopped often to lay a hand upon a wounded man's shoulder and speak words of comfort, to accept a child's small gift with genuine gratitude, to embrace warriors who had bled beside him through forest, flame, rain, and steel. In the grand square, a great feast was prepared from the combined stores, simple but shared equally, a symbol of the new unity. Lord Varrock approached once more, kneeling before Orhan Sahib in the presence of the people. "Orhan Sahib," he said, voice carrying clearly, "my riders and I swear brotherhood before the Almighty. We stand with you not as conquerors, but as true allies.